today. We're thankful for
Amen.
once again another day that we have to come together. Few of us today, but that's okay. They'll catch it on the tape, and but we're so glad to be with everyone today. We're going into our teaching, so and I'm not going to be very long today, I don't think. But you know, last several teachings, the last several Sabbaths that we've had and been teaching, we've been teaching about, you know, how that Yeshua, how that he came and how that he made his sacrifice, and now, you know, he's all that we will ever need in this world if we will put our faith and our confidence and our hopes in him, and bring our lives into subjection to him. He will lead us into all truths. We won't have to worry about whether we're obeying the laws, his laws, because that's what he is, and he through his spirit in us, that's what he does. He sees that we, as Ezekiel says, he sees that we, he will cause us to obey his statutes and his commandments. So, you know, obeying him and being entrusted into him. And by the way, I'm going to be taking from the 11th chapter of 2 Corinthians today, just a few verses, and because I'm just, what I'm trying to, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reminding you through that you know, Yeshua is what we need, and Yeshua is what we got to put our trust and our faith and our confidence in, not in what I'm going to I'm going to learn myself, but what he teaches me. And I even wrote down something here, and I'll probably teach a little more on it as time comes on and as Yeshua gives me the ability. But you know, he gave me a thought this week, and like other times I have to write it down, because a lot of times I'll lose part of it if I don't write it down. But he gave me the thought, and it's trying to obey the old covenant is as big an abomination to Yeshua as obeying the traditions of men that the modern Christians is doing today, or trying to do today. You know, they're keeping them, and you know, we must come out from among both of those things and just follow Yeshua and put our faith and our trust in Yeshua. And I think that's what Paul was trying to say when he was about to wrap up his letter to his second letter to the church at Corinth there. That I think that's what he's trying to tell the people there at Corinth. And I'd like to read and just probably not expound a whole lot on it, or maybe I will. It's according to what Yeshua leads me to do, but I say that and then I end up talking for an hour. But anyway, but I'd just like to, you know, just read what Paul was saying to the people there at Corinth and the church there, you know, and what he was doing there. And the 11th chapter starts out in the first verse. It starts out. It says, "Would to Elohim you could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me." In other words, listen. You know, bear with me in my, if you would, his teachings. Hit what he's trying to say. You know, because he wasn't teaching them the old covenant and to follow the old covenant and to go back to Mount Sinai. As a matter of fact, if we remember in, I believe it's the book of Galatians, where he was talking to that assembly there, that he was telling them, Mount Sinai represented the bondservant, Hagar. That's what that represented. It didn't represent the freedom that we have in Yeshua. Jerusalem, where Yeshua set up his ministry and set up his priesthood, and even there he was talking about the Jerusalem on the earth was in bondage and was still in bondage at that time when Paul wrote to them. But he was referring to the new Jerusalem, the heavenly Jerusalem that is free, and that's who we are espoused to. That's who we are to look to. Is that new heavens and the new earth that he is presenting, are going to bring and make for you and I, is that new heavens and that new earth where freedom rings, and I'm talking about the freedom from sin and from death. That's what he was talking about, and he's telling and that's what he was teaching these people just here at Corinth, just as he was there at Galatians. To bear with me, listen to what I'm saying, and that's all I've asked people to do, is just listen and then study for yourself what I've been teaching and what I've been trying to tell you. And I believe with all my heart in Yeshua that you will understand. I know you will if you're part of the body of the Messiah, and I'm not the one to decide who that is. That's up to Yeshua to decide that that part of it is who his body is. But his body understands who Yeshua is, and they understand what he is. They understand that he is our high priest now. He is the one that we are to put our trust and our faith in. And we are to look to him for everything. We're not to look to the law as per se under the old covenant. We're not to look to it for any salvation of any kind. We're not to look to that. We're to look to him. And because if we look to him, through him, we fulfill the law of righteousness. We fulfill it through him. He in us works that law of righteousness in us. And he tells them, you bear with me, and indeed bear with me, for I am jealous over you with godly jealousy. For I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Messiah. I have enjoined, if you will, the Greek word would be, I have enjoined or I have betrothed you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to the Messiah. I have only taught to you the Messiah. We also read, and I forget now if it's in 1 Corinthians or in 2 Corinthians, where that Paul writes to them and tells them, I don't come to you with big words, enticing words, of this worldly knowledge and of this. I don't come to you with all of that, but I come to you in one thing. I preach to you Yeshua and him crucified. I teach to you that that's what we are to look to, is Yeshua and him crucified. Not to anything else, not to the obedience to the law or walking in the law. Ladies and gentlemen, when we do that, we're denying, as I was teaching you last week, we're denying the power of Yeshua in us, and we're saying we're going to do it ourselves. But that's not what Paul did. He espoused these people to Yeshua. You trust in Him. You walk in Him. You obey Him. You present your bodies unto Him. And let Him be your Elohim. You let Him be, you be servants and servants only to Him. Because He is everything else. He's the law of Moses. He is the law of that Yahweh gave to the children of Israel there on Mount Sinai. Yeshua is that law. He is that word that that Messiah or that Yahweh gave to the children of Israel there when He stood there or came upon the mount there or came down from the mount there and spoke to the children of Israel there on that day. He is that word. And if we have Him, then we have that word. And we're not to trust in anything else but Yeshua. And we're not to lend ourselves to anything else but to walk and seek the face of the Messiah. And that's what Paul is saying here. I have espoused you. I have given unto you, or I have betrothed you unto one husband. Not unto doing 2 or 3 different things, but I have espoused you to one husband, and that husband is the Messiah. And that I might present you to Him a chaste virgin. And a chaste virgin is one that has not had any relationships with anything else. I think everybody here knows what a virgin is. You haven't had the relationships of anyone else. But you are a chaste virgin unto the Messiah. You ain't mixing that with everything else. Not with the traditions of man that the Christianity teaches today, or with Judaism or the Old Covenant that Judaism teaches today. You're not espoused to either one of them, and you're not to mix those with the Messiah. And I know that's harsh, and I know many people will not that does not understand what I'm saying would think me a heretic or crazy or whatever else you want to name me, but I really don't care what you call me or name me. I'm telling you that our faith is to be in Yeshua and that we are to follow Him. And that's what Paul has said to these people. I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin, someone that has not had any relationships with anything else but the Messiah. But I fear, even Paul knew or feared or was worried, if you will, just as a lot of times I worry when I read a lot of times posts from people. You know, are they really see who Yeshua really is? And do they really understand who Yeshua is and what He is to each and every one of them that is His? But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled or fooled or whatever other words you could use there to that he misled Eve through his subtlety, So your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity of that is in Messiah. The simplicity that's in Messiah. You know, man has got Yahweh so complex.
Complicated.
And so complicated that it takes this and it takes that and it takes this knowledge and that knowledge, and we need to do this and we need to do that in order to be a child of the Messiahs or be a child of Yahweh's. We got to do this, we got to do that. They've got it so complex and complicated that man doesn't know when actually Yeshua is so simple. His gospel is just so simple. It's just put your faith in me, let my spirit rule in your bodies by presenting that body unto me, holy and acceptable to me, and let me do my work in it. That's all Yeshua asks. He don't ask that I have to go out here and, I know this will sound wrong to some people, but it's not. I don't have to go out here and I have them out, and I have them on display, and I even sometimes wear them and this and that. But I don't need teachings, just for example, to remind me about Yahweh's commandments. Not if I've got Messiah in me, because that's going to be reminding me, and that's going to be what is going to be accomplishing those commandments in me. Not that I have to show and look at them every day and be reminded that that's what, they're for, and be reminded of the commandments of Yahweh and to do those commandments. I don't have to have that. I've got the Messiah. And He, if I submit myself to Him, He will see to it that I do those things. He will cause me. He will cause me, bearing witness with my spirit, He will cause me to do those things. That's how simple Messiah is, and service to the Messiah is. It's just trusting Him, letting Him do that. But Paul said, I fear that some of you, just as Eve was deceived by the serpent, that you're going to be deceived by all of this other junk that's going on around in the world today. You're going to be deceived by all of that. You're not going to listen to what Yeshua is saying, but you're going to listen to them. Oh, you've got to do this, and you've got to do that. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Boasting within themselves. We don't have to. And Paul's saying, I'm fearing that some of you are going to listen to that and follow after that, instead of the simplicity of the Messiah. Following Him. He's simple. For if he that cometh preaches another Yeshua, and honey, it's going on every day. They use the name that the Scripture here uses. This is our Christ. This is our Messiah. That's His name. But we find that Messiah that they teach has done away with the laws of Yahweh. We don't need them anymore. Done away with the Moedims, or the appointed times of Yahweh, and has appointed them other dates and other times. Is that following the Messiah? Is that doing what the Messiah has asked us to do? Is following that Messiah, or as they refer to it, that Christ? Is that what it is? I beg to differ with anyone that says yes to that. And if you're following that, then you're following the wrong Messiah. You're following the wrong anointed one. For if he that cometh preaches any other Yeshua, whom we have, and that's what Paul said here. He didn't say Jesus. He said Yeshua. If any other, if he that cometh preaches another Yeshua, whom we have not preached, or if you receive another spirit which you have not, if you receive another spirit which you have not received, or another gospel which you have not accepted, ye might well bear with him. If you're going to do that, if you're going to follow that, then you follow that. You bear with him. Because Paul says, I just assumed that I then wasn't went behind the very chiefest apostles. I'm not the one that you want to listen to. If you want to listen to that, I'm not the one you want to listen to. You bear with him.
That's right.
But if you want to follow the gospel of the Messiah, then you listen to what Paul is saying. You listen to what I said. Because I'm telling you, if you go to any other, if another one comes bearing another gospel, you know, I think he said that wasn't it in Romans where he said that if another comes bearing another gospel, maybe I've got the wrong book, but the scriptures, then that is a false gospel. For there is no other gospel other than Messiah and him crucified for you. And you put your faith in him and you become obedient unto him and him only. And listen to Paul here once again says, but though I be rude in speech, with all the education that Paul had, I have to assume he wasn't quite as rude as I am, because I don't have an education. And I don't know the big fancy words to tell people, to make them sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't have all of those fancy words. All I got is just what Yeshua gave me and what it is. And that's what Paul is saying, that though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge. I might not be able to speak the fancy words, but I know what I'm talking about. But we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. He didn't hide anything from them, but he taught them one thing, and that is Yeshua and him crucified. And that their faith was to look to Yeshua for everything they needed in this life or in the life to come. Yeshua is all you need. Then Yeshua himself said, I'll be your mother, your brother, your sister. I'll be whatever you need. I'll be that.
Yes, amen.
That's exactly what he said. I will be that. I don't have to have knowledge or foreknowledge of all things. And I should have said I should have said foreknowledge of all things. I don't have to have foreknowledge of all things. All I have to have is Yeshua in me,
That's right.
and He will instruct me,
That's right. Amen.
and He will lead me. And that's what I've tried to espouse to y'all. That's what I've tried to join to y'all to join to. All of these weeks and months and even years is that you follow Yeshua. He is the one. And I've not always done like Paul. I've not always done it with enticing words and fancy words that sounds more knowledgeable than I really am as far as worldly knowledge. But I do know what I'm talking about when I'm telling you about Yeshua. I do know that He is all we need. And we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. Have I committed an offense in abasing myself, or, humbling myself? Have I become an offense because I tell you that that it's not me, or it's not that person out yonder, or it's not that person over yonder? It's only Messiah. It's only Yeshua and Him that we look to. And I've tried to do it like Paul said here. I've try to do it in as humble a way as we know how, and with as much love as we know how. But there's so much stuff out there today that you have to confront when you're talking to people. There's so much stuff out there today that in confronted it, sometimes it sounds like you're a little bit harsh, if you will. It may sound a little harsh, and just like that, what Yeshua really said, and I said earlier, trying to obey the old covenant is as big an abomination to Yeshua as obeying the traditions of man that the modern Christians is doing today.
That's right.
That may sound harsh to people, but regardless of how harsh it may sound, with all love, that's what we have got to do. We've got to realize that it's not in the old covenant, but it's in the new covenant with Messiah that we are to live and walk and have our being in today. Is in Him, not in what they did, because theirs was done by works, by natural works. Ours is done through the Spirit in our faith in Yeshua and Him working in us to do that which is right. So, things like that may sound rude and harsh, but it's the only way I know how to say it. But I do try to say it with love, and the understanding that people will understand that that's what I'm trying to say, that we're to listen to Yeshua. We're not to listen to that. We're not to listen to the Christian doctrine, but we're to listen to the Messiah and what He is saying. And we're to put our trust in Him. Have I committed an offense in abasing myself that you might be exalted, because I have preached to you the gospel of Elohim freely? I haven't held it back. I haven't said it, bless their little hearts, they just don't understand yet. Well, there's some out there that just don't understand yet, but there's most out there is not going to ever understand to start with. And I'm not going to rub their bristles down and try to make them happy. I'm going to tell them the truth, because me rubbing their bristles down and making them happy is not going to bring them in. What is going to bring them in is telling them the truth and teaching them the truth, because I don't save nobody. My little acts of doing something doesn't save anyone. What saves them is the truth being told them, and then Yeshua revealing that truth to them.
Yes, amen.
And that's what saves them. And me trying to put any kind of honey on it or any kind of sweetness on it or patting anybody on the back saying this is the way, that's okay, you'll understand one day. That don't cut it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't help. Matter of fact, it hinders because, okay, I'm okay now. George said I was okay. You know, I'll learn someday. If I'm not doing right now, I'll learn someday. That ain't helping. What's helping is telling the truth and telling them about the Messiah, and then letting the Messiah reveal to them that he will, and them that he will not, let them be blinded. That's harsh too, but nonetheless, it's still true. And I say it with love, if that's the way you want me to pronounce it or say it. And I'm not going to go all into what Paul is making himself, here. I'm not going to tell, go into what, I've robbed other churches of taking wages of them to do you service, and Paul explaining to them what all he's done to try to make them help them out, and of course I haven't done that anyway, but it's not about me, it's about Yeshua. And it's but Paul is trying to tell them here as he's wrapping up this letter, and I know there's two other chapters in the book or in the letter, but he's starting to wrap it up, and he's beginning to tell them, and he's starting to tell them, I've espoused you to one husband. I have told you that it's not in the keeping of the letter of the law that's going to save you, but it's in Yeshua Messiah and your faith in him that is going to save you. And if you've got him in you and him working in you, then you don't have to worry about whether you're going to be obeying the laws of God, because he is the laws of God, and he will present them through you. I don't worry about it every day. I don't look to see it, well, if I do this, am I keeping a commandment? My faith is in Yeshua. I walk with him, and I try to let him walk in me, and when I do, he will be the shadow that people sees in me. And I try to do it in all ways. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know where we're going from this. I don't know where I'm going from this. And I don't know, like I said last week, I don't know if this is the last thing about our following Yeshua, because that's what it's all about. As far as me teaching, that's what it's all about, is us following the Messiah. About how to follow him, how to walk in him. That's what it's all about. So I don't know how, I don't know where I'll be going from this forward. I didn't know until this morning exactly what I would be teaching or saying on today, or what scriptures I'd be using today. I knew what the thought that he had given me, but I didn't know where the scriptures would be to cover that thought until this morning. And I don't know what's going to be next week. I don't, all I know is to tell you today is you follow him every day, as I will try to follow him every day until next week, and then we'll all know. But first of all, by next week, we will have all followed Yeshua. And that's what is important, is following him and listening to him and seeking his face in all things. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be unto you.